Doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 355th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Pep Sports Drive to the GHSA State Title. Today we're going to have three guests, all football. It's going to be River Ridge head coach Michael Collins, South Effingham's Lauren Purvis, and then Allatuna's Brad Smith. So we got a loaded show today, and we're going to start things off with Coach Collins right now. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Man, doing great, man. Always good to talk to you, man. Always ready to talk ball.
Absolutely. Yeah, I texted you yesterday. You agreed to come on, and then I waited till 11:59 to say, are you ready? So I appreciate you being quick and getting on. But, Coach, I want to ask you you've been at River Ridge several seasons now. It is a fairly new program, but I think it's really become a household name, and looks like things are running really well up there.
We're pretty excited about the progress of River Ridge football and the things that we've been able to do, the strides we feel like we're taking forward on a season-to-season basis. We had some good time. We've had some incredible young men, some great community support. We've been able to produce a few guys that have come on to play on the next level and been able to get a few big wins under our belt. That I think that's kind of helped put River Ridge football on the map. We seem to be competing year in and year out now. So we're pretty excited about where we are, and hopefully we can keep building on that and keep this process going.
Absolutely. And then 2020, that was the season you guys won the school's first ever region title. You guys made it all the way to the quarterfinals. And then it looks like just in each season since, you guys have been an outstanding offensive football team. You've been able to move the ball, put up points. So talk about just the type of athletes you guys have had offensively to keep that thing running.
Well, I think initially, obviously, Amir Morrison was an incredible football player that helped us put up a lot of points in the 2020 year that you brought up. And then Carson Latham was one of our quarterbacks at that time. And I think that we've had, of course, at that time, Tyler Jones was running the offense, and then we were able to hire Levi Brown to replace Tyler. So I think it starts with, having had a great running back, we had a great quarterback, and then we have some offensive-minded guys that have been here over the last couple of years to help us put up those points. And we've been really good on the flank. This last season with Grant Hoyer and Thomas Thompson, some of those guys that we've had on the flank over the years have been able to be some good catches for us. And obviously, our offensive line has done an outstanding job of giving those guys time to find those receivers. So it's been working out for us. So hopefully, again, that's something we can build on. We got a lot of those guys back this year too, so we're pretty excited about what we can do offensively again this year.
And so that's Levi Brown, your offensive coordinator. What year did he come to the school?
He was here. He just finished his second season here, so in 22 would have been his first year.
Okay, so the staff, is it going to be pretty much the exact same this upcoming season as last year?
Offensively, thank goodness we are staying pretty much intact with our offensive side of the ball. Our defense coordinator is moving on. We've elevated a guy that's been in our program for a couple of years. And Julian Todd. Julian's been my DC at another school when I was at Wheeler. So he and I worked together before, and we feel like we're going to be able to kind of continue the process also defensively. So that's the only change that we have, thank goodness. we were able to keep Greg Durst, who's been my offensive line coach here since I've been here. And he's just a great offensive mind in his own right, just a great motivator. So we're glad to be able to keep him. It's another reason why we're pretty excited about what the offense can do. Hopefully we can get our defense going and get a couple stops, and we'll see if we can put this whole thing together.
Yep, so Julian Todd, he's going from, it looks, defensive line to DC this season.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the guys you're excited about that are returning on the defensive side of the ball?
Got to start with Revis McLaren. He's a defensive back for us. He was our field corner. He's going to probably do duties at the short corner side this year. He's had an incredible offseason. He's got length. He's got leadership ability. He just does things the right way. So we're really, really excited about him. Wyatt McCarty has been starting for us since he was a freshman. So we're super excited to have him starting at our linebacker spot. He'll be a 3-year starter, even though he's just a junior. Christian Chaponis has also been starting for a while for us. He's a senior this year. He starts as a sophomore at safety. He's another guy that we're putting a lot on because he's been playing defense for a long time. And then our D-line, we're going to be young on the defensive line, but we feel like we're going to be athletic. Guys like Mason McClendon and Dave Goforth, just to say a few. They're young guys. Mason got a lot of time last year. Dave saw some time last year, but they're coming on really well in the offseason, so I'm pretty pumped about those dudes.
It looks like last year the guy that was the returning leader in sacks was Ehan Anderson. Has he since graduated?
He has, yeah. He has, and he's been a tough replacement for us, but we think some of these younger guys are going to step up, and we're going to try to get a little creative with our pressures and hopefully get a little bit more pressure with our linebackers this year too. So it'll be tough to replace him, but they'll probably replace him with more than one guy, to be honest.
Yeah, he was a double-digit sack guy. So anytime I'm up in that Woodstock area, I always see the cars. They got their River Ridge stickers on the back. So I know you guys are getting that youth program going. So how has that progressed since you've gotten to River Ridge, and how healthy is the state of your youth program?
It's very healthy, and I wish I could take credit for that, man. But that's just something that's how the people are built here in this area. This community support is incredible. I tell people I think it's second to none, and they start in the kindergarten level, and they build it up all the way through high school. And a lot of the guys that are coaching those guys and spending time with them are not necessarily dads. It's just community people that love River Ridge football. Like you say, there's always stickers, and there's moms that are super supportive. It's an incredible thing. Our youth program's really flourishing from, like I say, kindergarten all the way up through 8th grade. I'm super excited about it, and there's a reason why we've been able to compete, and a lot of it's got to do with them building that foundation from the ground up for us. And we're highly appreciative of it. And we're just glad to be able to enjoy the fruits of that labor that those folks have put in for us.
Yep. And then last season, just looking at the schedule, you guys played a lot of close football games, which is common when you're in a tough region like that. But how were you guys able to kind of bounce back from some of those stretches where you guys might not have closed out the games as well? And then how are you guys this season going to kind of work this off season to be prepared to close out the wins and give yourself an opportunity to play at home in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just kind of stick to the things that you're training. You know, you talk about one play at a time, one quarter at a time, one drive at a time. So I think when you get into those close game situations, you got to kind of stick to that philosophy of not trying to look at the importance or the ramifications of the outcome. Just play one play at a time. Like you say, we were in a lot of games that came down to one possession, and you could really narrow it down to one or two plays that probably would have made a big difference in our seeding and us having an opportunity to win a couple of playoff games. I think what we're doing in the offseason, what we're going to do during our practice times is just continue to put our guys in competitive situations, high-pressure situations to where they can be prepared for those one-possession games, whether it's just that one stop that you need or one score that you need to win the game. We'll continue to do those score-to-wins and stop-and-win drills day in and day out to make sure we're training our guys to be ready and prepared for those situations.
Yep, and you've had some prolific running backs rack up some major yards. We've seen them high in the statewide standings, but you're going to have a quarterback returning with Ethan Spector, multi-year starter. How excited are you just to have a senior quarterback with these seasons under his belt?
Really excited. He's a 3-year starter. This will be his 3rd year under Coach Brown and in his offense. And he knows it like the back of his hand. So he's really comfortable in it. Last year, he also took some steps forward of beating people with his legs, which he's got the ability to do. So I'm hoping that he'll start out being really comfortable doing that as well. So I think that gives us an opportunity to be really tough to defend offensively with a guy with that much football under his belt coming into his senior year.
Yep, he's a great athlete. Is he a multi-sport athlete, or is he sticking to just football this year?
No, he's a big-time baseball player like a lot of our guys are, which we're super excited to have. Hopefully, he may not even be out in the spring. It just depends on how our baseball team does. And it would be okay with me if he's not. That means our baseball team's doing well and going deep into the playoffs. But he plays middle infield. He's a really good baseball player as well. So we'll see how it goes moving forward.
Yeah, baseball team's been getting it done. And then it looks like last year you had, I'm looking at the potential backup quarterback, some of the depth. You had Hunter Lockerman, a freshman. Is he going to continue to progress into the quarterback role?
Absolutely. We're excited about him as well. And there's a little bit of competition in our quarterback position, to be honest with you. We're okay with that. We saw Hunter coming. He's having a great offseason as well. He's a very fast processor, another guy that's got the ability to beat you with his arms and his legs, very cerebral. He's also going to see some time in the defensive backfield. He's going to be on the field, whether it's playing defensive back or playing quarterback, but he's a guy that, he's one of our best 22. So he's definitely a name that's going to get out and about in the football community pretty quickly.
Yes, sir. And then some coaches we have on, they say it might be hard to find quality O-line and defensive linemen throughout their campus, but every time I see you guys have tremendous size up front. So what's that group looking like this year, and what has that been true throughout your time at River Ridge? You guys have kind of always had the luck of having some big boys in that campus.
I wish. No, it hasn't been true the whole time. It was definitely that way for probably the first 3 years, and 2021 and then the 2020 year we were really big. But it's changing a little bit to where we're not quite as big as we were, but I think we're going to be probably maybe more athletic. We have 2 twins, Tristan and Taylor Crockett, and we have Gabriel Belbeck that'll be the anchors of our offensive line. And then we have Luke Morrison, who was a starter last year. That he's a big kid. Luke's almost 6'7", and he'll be a 2-year starter. So we're excited about our offensive line. We're deeper than we were, but we're probably not quite as big. But again, I think we're going to move a little better, be a little more athletic. The biggest challenge this year is to get those guys. We need to establish a run game. Obviously, they know we can throw the ball fairly well. But this year, hopefully, our offensive line will take some pride in getting some backs over 150, even more yards on the game basis. And I think that'll help us a whole lot if we can do that.
So I know John Faletra, he was on the O-line last year, starter. He's graduated, but how many returners do you guys have up front?
I think the Crockett kid is returning, Morrison is turning, and Belbeck. So that's 3. We have 3 offensive linemen returning, and really probably more like 3.5 because Tristan Crockett did see a lot of time last year on the offensive line. He was kind of in and out. So 3 to 4 offensive starters. So that's good. That's the reason why we're pretty excited about what we can do up front with those guys coming back.
For sure. And then let's see. Who are you guys going to scrimmage maybe this spring or before the season starts?
We're going to scrimmage Wheeler High School, which will be a phenomenal test for us. They're going to be fast, athletic, had a great year last year, got a great quarterback. really fast running back. They're going to be real physical and very talented on defense. So it's going to be a good spring scrimmage for us on May 16th, which is a Thursday here at River Ridge. And then we're going to fall scrimmage against Etowah, which will be another test for us. Everybody knows what they have at the quarterback spot. So it'll be fun trying to chase him around and get him down in a fall scrimmage. Then we're going to open up our year with Cherokee at Cherokee, which is going to be a big game for our community and our county, for River Ridge to travel up to Tommy Baker Field for what I feel like may actually be the first time, I think, for a regular season game. At least it's been the first time in a long time. So that will be something that our community and our county should be pretty excited about that season opening.
Yes, and they'll be hungry to get back on track. And I do think that is going to be the first ever matchup, which is pretty crazy because you guys are right down the street from each other. When I look at your region, though, obviously River Ridge, you guys are not going to sneak up on anyone. I think you guys have a great opportunity to take the region this year. You guys lose Rome. What's your kind of goals for this season in the region, and how confident are you that you guys can take another region crown?
Well, taking the region crown would be phenomenal for us. So the first goal for us is always to get in the playoffs. We feel like if you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. You got to get to the second season. And obviously, being able to go in as a first or second seed, getting a home game, you would think would be more advantageous to us than to having to be on the road like we have had to do the last couple of years. But it's going to be a challenging situation. Sequoia is always going to be a really good football team. Coach Teeter does an outstanding job. Creekview is always going to be a great football team, and it's always, it's kind of like Hatfields and McCoys when it comes to us and those two teams. And then those COD teams with Sprayberry and Pope and Lassiter, and then they're going to put athletes on the field. So we feel like it's a competitive league from top to bottom. Even Woodstock, if you see how they kind of came along late last year, I'll look for them to step on the field with a lot of confidence and to kind of build off the momentum they built a little bit towards the end of the season. They were close to making playoffs toward the end of the season. So we feel like it's going to be a competitive league, but our main goal is to try to get in and see what happens. Obviously, if that could put us in the top box, our home game, that would be even better.
You bet. Well, unfortunately, Coach Collins, we're out of time. I'm going to have to go, but thank you so much for joining us. Cannot wait to see you guys in 2024, and keep up the great work.
Thanks for having me. It's always a great time talking ball with you. Go Knights.
Go Knights. All right, so there goes Coach Collins. And, yeah, we got to be hard on these breaks, but the reason I have all three of these teams on is they were very competitive last year, but looking at their regions, looking at the returning starters, I think they have a chance to be region champs and really make some noise. They're going to be in that same region as Creekview. It's their biggest rival. They beat them for the first time in school history. I think it was 2 seasons ago. I mean, that is like a Milton Roswell within that area. It is a huge rivalry. And then they'll have Lassiter, Pope, Riverwood, Sequoia, Sprayberry, and Woodstock. So it should be a great region. I mean, they're going to have to show out every single week, but I think they have a chance, and I think it's going to come down to the quarterback play, then definitely in that secondary, and then we'll see if they're able to replace that depth on the defensive line, losing a guy like Han Anderson, the sack leader. But we'll check them out. They got a great scrimmage against Wheeler, his former high school, so it should be a fun season. But let's go ahead, take our first break, and thank our sponsors, and we'll be back on the other side.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, welcome back, guys. So let's jump right into it with our next guest, South Effingham. How's it going, Coach?
Hey, it's good. How are you?
Doing great. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to talk to you guys. I think this is the first time we've had you on. But you took this job last season. It's your first time as a head coach. What's the biggest difference you feel this offseason?
Time has been big. I didn't get this job last year, I think, until April 12th. So we're just over a year now from when I first got it. And coming in really late in the rotation, I mean, we didn't even – I think I got there early May, and we had spring practice starting like May 4th. So I was there in the building for maybe 2 weeks prior to actually seeing the guys on the field and coaching. So I got to watch them work in the weight room a little bit here and there, but it was really quick. And now I feel like after having a year's worth of time, the way I wanted to run my program has been really good. That's been a huge difference. Is, you know, the morning meetings, the character building, things like that we were able to do this year in the off season, and that we're still in the process of, in the middle of. It's been a lot of fun.
Yep, and that was a return to South Effingham for you. You were previously an offensive coordinator. So what was the biggest thing you wanted to do as head coach, returning to South Effingham to get you guys to that next level?
Yeah, you know, the guy I worked for previously, Coach Clark, he taught me a lot about offense just working for him in that time that I was there. I wasn't there long. We really enjoyed it. My wife and my family, we really enjoyed the area. We really enjoyed the community, the people, the kids. All those things were great. But we, you know, we're still working on this every day, but we don't have just the mentality, the expectations that we're going to go on the field and we're going to do really well. It's beginning. I mean, between our wrestling program and our cheerleading program, I think they've had 5 state championships in the last 3 years. The wrestling won both the dual and the individual state championships this year as a team. The cheerleading team has done the same thing. They've won back-to-back titles. And our kids are slowly starting to change their mentality. The administration is understanding what it takes now to win. And I'm hoping that that's spilling over and spilling into our football program. We have a lot of wrestlers on our team. But that's what I wanted to accomplish, just to, you know, I'm not saying we're anywhere close to a state championship level program by any means, but just the mentality that when we step on the field, that we are there to win and that we are there to compete. That's a big deal in high school kids. And to get them believing in that, it's tough, and hopefully we're doing that every day.
Yep, and so you're talking about the difference this year is the time. And so do you feel like you guys were able to kind of create that off-season plan for you guys and really take advantage of these early months before spring gets here?
Yeah, we were. So we started our off-season program really in February, early February, and we, you know, started meeting position groups, teaching what we want to do. That was a big thing last year. I say time, but we didn't really get a chance to teach a lot, whether it be football related or whether it be, you know, character building, those type of things. We just didn't get that chance with the kids. I mean, literally, I got here, I didn't get our whole staff together until the middle of June. And then, so we hit the field with spring practice with, you know, a skeleton staff basically. And we just kind of got through it and did what we could do. So now having the time to teach, having the chance to teach has been really good. And our kids have responded well. We've had a lot of numbers out, much more than we had last season in our program at all. So those things are exciting. I'm just hoping that we're building more than just the football player. And you know, we're trying to we tell them all the time we want our kids to be better brothers, better sons, and you know, one day better fathers and better employees, those type of things. So I'm hoping that we're getting through to these guys in that manner, and hopefully by the time they're 4 years over playing for me, and playing for this program, that they're excited to become better men, and you know, if we can win along the way, that'd be great too.
Yep, and it was a really productive season for you guys. You finished 6-4, missed out on the playoffs by 1 game, but you guys were super close. You're going to have familiar teams this year in the region, some great rivalries as well. So what have you seen, just the experience gained last year, on how like realistic and motivated these kids are to go out there and make the playoffs?
Yeah, the region got a lot tougher. We added in some teams that we knew about that were previously in our region when I was here in the past. I think we got one of the largest regions in 5A with 9 teams, and it's going to be tough. It really is. Last year with the Evans game, it came down to really about 4 minutes of play. We were up 20-14 with about 4.5 minutes left, and their running back, who was really good, and I knew it was going to be really tough to keep him down, he broke a long one, like 60, 70-yard run on us, and it kind of just broke our backs. And so we have talked about that play. We beat it to death. We talked about it over and over and over, and we want our kids to realize that we got to finish, and that it is an every play mentality. It's an every game mentality. In my mind, that long run, they made the extra point, went up 21-20, and that was kind of it for us. And that's the play that kept us out of the playoffs. And I know there's a lot of other plays that you can look back on, but that's one that we as a coaching staff feel like we can preach and teach and build off of. And that, man, we were close. In year one of the program we're trying to build, knowing that we were, literally a handful of plays out of making the playoffs is a good feeling. It's not what we wanted. We wanted to be in the playoffs. We wanted to win more than we lost and things like that. But I think building on that, we got a lot of kids that played last year that were not starters that are coming back. We're definitely going to be way less experienced than we were last year. We had a bunch of seniors, 28 seniors, and we had, I think, 8 on each side starting that were seniors. But we had a bunch of kids that came in and played a lot that are going to be back as juniors. And that's going to be the majority of our team as juniors. So I'm excited about that. We got a lot of talent in those kids. But they were also on the field a lot, and they witnessed, how we handled certain situations well and how we handled them poorly. And it was big teachable moments, and that's what our coach staff has really been able to work hard on here in the offseason.
Yes, and so you're saying this year's team, they have experience, but it's less seniors. You guys are going to scrimmage, I believe, within your program this spring. But what opportunity does that give you and your staff to kind of evaluate, maybe find guys that you might not have initially thought they were going to be the best fit at this position and kind of experiment with them this spring?
Yeah, the Cardinal and White game has been a tradition. It was a long tradition before I got here the first time. And really the parents love it and the kids love it. I like it from a standpoint that we get to see every kid play. That's one thing when you scrimmage another team, you may not get everybody on the field. You can try to have, certain quarters where it's certain teams, but you still may miss getting everybody a lot of time. You may get kids 1 or 2 plays, and that's it. So I like the inter-squad scrimmage because we get to watch every kid play, and we'll have our first offense or who we think's the first offense against who we think's the first defense. And then I'm hoping that someone will show out on either side of that ball, whether it be the second team, the first team, third team, whatever it looks like, because we'll divide up the team down the middle, and we'll try to make it as even as possible to make it a good game. We'll divide the coaching staff up, and then we'll watch film on it for a couple of days. And we have it early enough in the school year. Our spring game's on the 17th, and we have another week of school left that we can watch it with the kids, meet about it as a staff, those things. But there's definitely a little buzz around the building about our program, and you can see it among the kids. They're ready to go. Like yesterday at our afternoon stuff, our speed agility stuff, they were, begging to get on the field and do. I'm like, guys, we can't have a football yet. Like, that's not allowed. But just the fact that they're excited and asking, it's fun to be around them.
Do you feel like this year's team maybe possesses more overall speed or size or strength as last year?
I think we're going to be smaller, especially compared to some of the guys we had up front last year. But we're going to be faster and we're going to be stronger. Our numbers in the weight room have really taken off compared to what we had on the field last year, at least. And that's fun. That's exciting. They've really bought into what we're doing in the weight room. And last year I love those kids, but when you're trying to be different necessarily or do your own thing as your program, some of them bought into it and some of them didn't. And you could tell the guys that did made improvements here and there, and things like that. But this year, having that whole year with our program, our young kids have really bought in, and we're gonna have more speed, more strength, but we definitely will be smaller. And I'm excited about our running backs. We got a couple of running backs that are young, that are only going to be a junior and a sophomore back there starting, and Kyron White is going to be a sophomore, and we got another kid, Caden Ward, that's going to be a junior. And both those guys played last year on varsity. Both those are really good running backs. I'm excited to see how they develop this year.
Yep, and then another name I've seen, it's Jakey Connolly, and it looks like he's a four-sport athlete.
Yeah, Jockey.
Jockey.
He started some. Jockey. He started some as a freshman, and last year he started all year at free safety for us as a sophomore, and really played well in spots, and then played like a sophomore in spots. Those you get that when you get some young high school players, but gosh, he's gotten really strong, and he flies around and finds the ball. He did that all year last year. His mistakes were more, mental, depending on what's coming at him. Oh, who do I get at free safety? But, man, he's not a large guy, but he comes down and he'll hit you and throw his body into it. And it's guys like that make high school football fun to watch.
Yep, so it looks like he's football, basketball, lacrosse, and track, or maybe that's cross country, but 4 sports. That's very impressive. So a guy like him started as a freshman, heading into his junior season. As a coaching staff, is the message this year just play full speed? If you make mistakes, as long as it's at full speed, you're willing to take that. Is that going to be the key to getting these guys playing at a high level in the region?
Yeah, I think so. With the lack of experience that we have compared to some of the other teams we're going to face in the region, we want our guys to play fast. And we talk about playing your best, playing your hardest. And whatever happens. You're going to make mistakes. Our quarterback's going to throw picks, our running back's going to fumble, and we're going to miss tackles on defense. That's just part of the game, man. But if you hold your head up and get back up the very next play and play just as hard, some good things are going to come your way. And some of those young kids like Jockey that's played a lot, I'm really hoping he turns into a leader, and he's already a vocal guy. And we just need him and other kids like him to get the guys to rally behind him, because we do have a few guys that no matter what, they're hard-nosed, that no matter what bad happens, they're going to get up and say it's all good and keep playing. And so as long as they're playing fast and they're playing hard and they're going to get up and keep rolling, then I can't be upset with anybody with that mentality.
Yep, and you guys had a lot of success running the ball last year, a position that you had basically loaded with seniors was receiver and quarterback. So what are those two positions looking like this year, and who are some of the guys that do have that experience?
Yeah, so the quarterback is going to be JT Barkley. He's our starting catcher on the baseball team, and he's having a pretty good sophomore year as a catcher. Our baseball team has had an up and down year, but really have come on strong here going into the playoffs. And South Effingham's always been pretty good at baseball. Ever since I've known about them, they've been, pretty strong teams, pretty competitive teams, put a lot of guys out in college ball. And JT's done a heck of a job coming in and learning the offense well. He was the JV starter last year, and he played a little bit on Friday nights, but not much, because we had 2 senior quarterbacks last year. And then at receiver, Caden Davis he's really stepped it up. He's probably going to be our ex receiver. And then we got a couple other guys that are going to play slot and outside and different things. We run sort of a hybrid wing tee, and I've been fortunate to work for some really good coaches, and I learned a heck of a lot about the wing working for Jeff Herron years ago. And we kind of do it a little bit differently now. We're more of a hybrid gun stuff, but we predominantly run the ball because we got a lot of good running backs at South, and we've got some good receivers that are growing into those positions.
Yep, and that's why if you look at the stats last year, I mean, it was so many different ball carriers. That's a product of the offense. What about the offensive line? How many returning starters are you guys going to have up front?
So we only have one returning starter. And we had two guys last year that both played tackle, the same position. And it just went with who was playing better in the game. And so both of those guys are back. So they'll probably anchor us, one of them at guard, one of them at tackle. And then other than that, we're going to have three current sophomores that are going to be juniors playing. But I'm excited about it. I mean, we got a kid out there at tackle, Bryson Foster, who's getting a lot of attention. I mean, he's 6'5", 320 at tackle, and he's a big kid, got great feet. But our center is going to be a junior, and the other guard's going to be a junior. And all three of those guys were starters on JV, and our center actually got some reps on varsity. But he backed up a center that's going to play at Methodist, who was really good, and it was hard to take him off the field because he was such a smart kid. But we had the then sophomore or current sophomore get in there some just to relieve him at times, because I knew that he needed reps on a Friday night to get ready for this coming season.
Okay, and then we're talking about the big region. Just walk us through who the non-region games are going to be up against this year.
Yeah, so we only get two, and both these teams, in my opinion, are very, very good teams. New Hampstead's going to be actually the first game of the year on that Thursday, August 15th, which is going to be really cool. It's the first game in our area. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about getting a lot of people out there to that game. The second game is going to be at home against Toombs County, and I believe Toombs was a quarterfinalist down there in double or triple A. I mean, you're talking about they got a kid, receiver, DB that's, getting looks by Alabama. They got a quarterback that's getting a lot of D1 looks. Like, they're going to be a really good team. Even though their school's smaller than us, the kids that they put on the field are tough-nosed kids. And those are only two non-region. I think both of them are going to be a lot different styles. New Hampstead's going to sling it around, and Toombs is going to be more power counter football. But it's going to be a lot of fun because you get to match up with teams that are good and kind of get an early look in the season at where we're going to fall.
Yeah, that New Hampstead game should be outstanding. They have really been lighting up the scoreboard. So defensively, how big of an opportunity is that to week one play a team that you kind of know what their style is going to be? They're going to run a ton of plays and really push that tempo.
I know that we've got to do a lot of 7-on-7s this off season and during the summer to get ready.
Looks like my third guest might have hopped on real quick. Okay. Well, yeah, that's very interesting. So they've got a young team. I think that scrimmage will be, or not scrimmage, that season opener will be outstanding. I think New Hampstead has a chance to have a historic season. You got Coach Hockman as the head coach, and each year is just more and more wins. So that would be a great test for them to learn from. And then their region, as he said, 8 region matchups, big rivalry against Effingham County, Coach John Ford, and then they got Glenn Academy and Brunswick as well. Hey, Coach, thank you so much. Sorry we're running out of time, but I really appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this offseason, and we're definitely going to have to check in for that spring scrimmage.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. You have a great day.
You bet. All right. So then one more time real quick about his region. They also are going to add in Lakeside Evans. It's a solid program. Evans High School, which I think is poised for a big season, and then Statesboro. So they've got a lot of high-quality teams. They finished 5th in the region last year, but there's going to be an opportunity for them to get back in the playoffs. That will obviously be the goal. They were 6-4 last year, one of the better teams that missed out. But let's go ahead. We'll take one more break, and we'll be back on the other side with Coach Smith.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these. Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
All right, welcome back, guys. So I think we have Coach Smith on standby, and I think this is a team where everyone is excited to see what they're going to have in 2024, and that's Allatoona. Coach Smith took over for Coach Varner last year. Coach Varner had to step down to focus on his health. Smith came in, I believe, in March. It was kind of a whirlwind for him, and now they're poised for a great 2024. Okay, let me try one more time. Hold on just a sec, guys. All right, so Coach Smith, he arrived in, I think this was March 16th, around that time. He was an assistant coach at Dalton High School and got to experience what the environment around Allatoona's football program was like at Cobb Buccaneer Stadium. Dalton was in the midst of a semifinal run in a 13-1 season, while the Bucs were coming off their state championship season and were 6-6. And so he played up against Allatoona. And then once Varner steps down, the job was open. His friend suggested that he apply for it, and then he ends up getting the job. He's heading into year 2 right now. Do we see him yet? Okay, he said he's on. Okay. So let me just go over their region for this upcoming season. All right, so last year they were actually in the same region as River Ridge. This year they aren't, but they're going to have Cartersville, Cass, Cedartown, Dalton, Hiram, Southeast Whitfield, and Woodland, Cartersville. So that deep region last year with Cartersville, Cass, Dalton, and Hiram, they lose Calhoun, but they bring in Allatoona. That's how you could look at it. It should be very competitive. That's Region 7 in Class 4A. So that'll be an 8-team region. They will have 3 non-region games, and then they will get right into it. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for coming on. All right, so I want to ask you, last year was obviously a whirlwind for you. I think you were still at Loganville, trying to basically be at 2 places at once. But how's this offseason been for you guys and the staff?
It's been good. There's just things like a normal offseason, but it's been regulatory, getting things in order. We had mat drills, all the things we wanted to include culture-wise, we were able to do. So it's been big. Right now, our class just did yoga and took the football one-on-one exam. So we've been hammering out the details of, just I think kind of a lost art where kids especially don't understand the game. So we've had to go through all that. Hired a new defensive coordinator. Excited about that. So it's still been a whirlwind, but it's been a little bit more of a regular offseason.
Okay, and then who did you bring in for the DC position?
We hired Coach Fran Mahan from Harrison. He was Harrison's defensive coordinator for the last couple of years. Before that, he was at Walton High School. Looking forward to seeing what Coach Mahan can do with our defense.
Fantastic. And then, so you've obviously gotten to know these kids. You worked with them last year, this offseason. What's your expectations for just spring practice? Is it going to be installation-based, still some position battles, or do you guys have a pretty good grasp on what the identity is going to be this year?
I think it's kind of up in the air for a lot of guys as far as position, where we're going to look at. Now our kids kind of know our scheme. Last year we were really young, when it came to different groups. I think we've got more experience, but when it comes to our team overall, I think we're even younger than we were last year. But those guys got to play as sophomores, and they probably got to play earlier than they were expecting. So we'll be more experienced. But as far as spring goes, it's going to be a lot of installation, especially putting in a new defense. So we're going to kind of go through all that process all over again. Offense should be quicker, especially since they've already been repping this stuff and we've been doing 4-on-1 since January. So I'm hoping that that's an easier transition getting into spring than what it was last year.
Okay, and then last year when you took the job, you said you were going to do a zone spread system offensively. You're going to switch the defense up to a 4-2-5. So obviously the kids this year, they have experience playing in that system. So on the offensive side, what do you expect from this year's group and what they're able to take away from last year?
Yeah, so we're kind of a spread system, but I would say it's more of a power spread right out of the pistol. They'll be under center a little bit more than usual. We're a wide zone-based team, not a lot of inside zone, coupled with some duo, power counter. So it's still got some gap elements to it, but it's going to be a downhill rushing attack, play-action pass. We got to do a better job of getting in the screen game, so that's something we've really put an emphasis on this offseason. So we're really going to do that. We got two really excited about running backs, and Xavier Rucker's got multiple Division I offers, and Ethan Corpus, two young guys that are beasts in the weight room, and I can't wait to watch them. I think this kind of fits what we do and what they do as far as their rushing attack. So we're looking forward to being a really downhill running football team, and then hopefully suck everybody up in there and take the top off a little bit. Looking forward to a new quarterback with Cruz Paul coming in. He's a baseball kid committed to East Tennessee State. He's done nothing but impress this offseason, so expecting to get some competition with a young freshman, A.B. McPherson, who's really kind of pushing, and I think that just kind of makes them even better. We do have to replace 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, but all those guys that we are replacing them with got playing time. Like I said, we played a bunch of young kids last year. We kind of knew that there were going to be some bumps and bruises along the way, but all those guys got a tremendous amount of experience.
And then another name, I'm not sure how much he played last year, Keegan Vandegrift. I believe he had a older brother, or is that a different Vandegrift?
Oh, he's so last year Keegan battled a lot of injuries. He had to be our son. His brother was a big-time player for him the year before I got here, and so Keegan, we had high expectations last year. He just battled the injury bug, whether it be a hamstring, lower back, and so it kind of limited his play. He's healthy, running track, so we expect some big things out of him as well.
And obviously with Cruz Paul being a baseball guy at Alatoona, I already know he has an outstanding arm. So do you guys see yourselves offensively this year being able to kind of press defenses with a potential deep ball?
Yeah, we have to do a better job of taking some downfield shots. I think people do know what our MO is, and they creep up and get a lot of man. We have to do a better job as a coaching staff alleviating that box and throwing it downfield more.
And then, so you're confident you're going to be replacing guys offensively, but then on the defensive side of the ball, how do you feel about this year's secondary, just being able to limit some of the big plays? You're going to be going up against really explosive offenses like Cass with Brody and the Cartersvilles and all those teams. So how's this secondary standing?
Well, so we've switched, like you said earlier, we wanted to implement a 4-2-5 defense, and that's originally what the plan was this year with Coach Mahan. He's more comfortable in a 3-4, so we're going to be a 3-4 defense. We look forward to, I think it fits our purpose this year much better than the 4-2-5 did last year for us. And like I said, we returned 9 of 11 starters on defense, so a lot of those guys are all returning, and the other year in the weight room, another off season, and how quickly can we install and get implementation and start running what we want to do is going to be crucial for them.
And so that switch, you feel like that's going to better suit you? Do you feel like the defensive line is going to be able to make a bigger impact this year just in the new alignment?
Yeah, so when I say return 9 of 11, 3 out of those guys are the defensive front. And so even their backups. I think there's 6 guys total off the D line that returned from last year. It literally took some beatings, especially we played carousel last year, some different teams that really beat us up a little bit up front. Those guys have learned from that experience. They've taking that to heart, and they're trying every day to get better and bigger in the weight room. And we've had substantial growth when it comes to gains in the weight room. So we're looking forward to seeing what they can do. But anytime you go against a Steve Gates or Connor Foster team, you're going to have to strap it on in battle. So we're looking forward to that opportunity and challenging our guys every day.
So who's been kind of the leader of this defense throughout the offseason? Who do you expect to just be ready to go week 1?
The leader of our defense is Gabe Morgan. He's not anything wise. He's limited in stature, but he is he's the heart and soul of our defense. He's all over the place, and he played last year as a sophomore, so he's a rising junior. How quickly he was able to grow, and he was honorable mention all region, and that's probably due to the fact that he was a sophomore. And then we also have Colin Fields, who was a second team all region with 9 sacks from the defensive end position. Excuse me. I think this year with what we do and what Coach Mahan's plan, and it's going to really open up those guys when it comes to being a little bit more free, a little more freedom in the defensive front with our blitz packages and our stunts. So hopefully those guys can continue to be the bell cows of our defense.
Okay, so his name is Colin Fields?
Colin Fields.
Okay, so I think the Max Prep said Fields Collins. I was getting dyslexic.
Yeah.
But
Colin, you're fine.
Okay, so he has a potential. I mean, he's got a great frame, had production last year. What's his potential looking like to earn an opportunity to play at the next level?
Well, he has a 4.4 GPA, so he has that's not going to be an issue for anybody. He's an extremely intelligent guy. He's done nothing but bolster. Can't make him taller, but I think he's put on 15 pounds, good weight. He's gotten faster, so he's going to have a break. I thought he had a breakout season last year, and there would be more traction on him, but I think this year he's going to really turn some heads, and so we're excited to see what happens for Colin.
Yeah, and I mean the teams you guys are going to be playing, obviously Allatoona has made a name for itself as well, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these kids to earn scholarships and be able to fulfill their dreams. So how many guys this year do you feel like have that potential to go on to the next level?
I would say we have 8 or 9. We only have a rising senior class has only got 13 kids in it right now. We have roughly 120 kids in the program, so 13 seniors. The bulk of our team is made up of sophomores, rising juniors, and but out of those 2 groups, I would say we have 8 to 10 guys that could really go. Like I said, Xavier Rucker, he's a name to kind of put on your list. To stop us, you got to stop him. He's going to be a special kid, offensively and defensively for us this year. Colin, obviously, and then we have a couple more. Josh Pardue, he's 6'3". He played corner for us last year. He's 6'3", 185. He'll move inside and play safety. I think that fits him better, especially at the college level. So those are kind of the 3 that I could see some really big things and some things popping pretty soon for those guys.
And it looks like you mentioned Xavier's going to be able to play some defense too, I think in the secondary role. And then Ethan, he's the other running back you mentioned. I see him listed also as a linebacker. So I don't have his measurables, but is he kind of a bigger back than Xavier?
So Xavier right now is 6 foot, 195 pounds. Just weighed him. Ethan is 5'11", 225.
There we go.
Ethan yesterday back squatted 475 for 5. Rutgers, hitting at depth, 415, 420 for 4.5. So they're both powerful. They're both fast. They're our fastest 2 kids when it comes to our GPS units. So they're 1 and 2 when it comes to that. A lot of 2-back stuff. We got to figure out a way to get them both on the field at the same time.
That's our job as coaches. So we're excited about that challenge, but it is a unique challenge trying to distribute that ball amongst two really good backs.
Yeah, and we don't want to give it away any secrets, but you mentioned the screen game, so I'm assuming both these guys have been working on their ball catching ability and kind of being that versatile back.
Yeah, I mean it's no secret, people know who we are, and I'm not trying to hide anything. It's just going to be what it is. But we have to do a better job of getting Xavier in space, getting Ethan in space, and if that, using them in the screen game, how we can be creative in doing so. That's what we're going to do.
And then what have you seen with Cruz Paul stepping into this quarterback role on his grasp of the game? And, I mean, are you guys going to be super patient with him, or is it a situation where you're ready to give him the keys?
Yeah, he's got the keys. It's his job to lose. Right now he's a big-time baseball kid, and he's doing a great job for our baseball team. But he's still coming to 4-on-1s in the morning, not throwing, but he's learning and going through it. And so that says a lot about who the person is and what kind of kid he is. He's there. He's helping other ones. He's helping the young guys. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do, because he's one of those guys that just got it. He understands the game. He understands where he should go with the ball. It's natural to him. He's a natural thrower. So looking forward to him just taking the lead and kind of running with it. So we'll see. Hopefully it's a smooth transition with him. But like I said, we have a young one that's going to go compete his butt off and try to push him throughout spring as well.
And then walk us through real quick, who were the non-region games? I have the schedule up, but it looks like it's some logos I'm not 100% confident in.
Yeah, we got Holy Innocents kicks off our season. Adairsville kicks off our season. We have Adairsville, Holy Innocents, and then we play River Ridge. And then we get into Cedartown, first region game.
Awesome. And what's your first impression of this year's region? You mentioned it was one of the bigger ones.
I spent 5 years at Dalton High School, and it's the same kind of guys, the same old enemies. Cass was always one that gave us a lot of crazy fits when we were at Dalton. Cartersville's the standard, I would say, for Northwest Georgia, then Calhoun. So, you know what you're expecting. Me and Connor are friends. We know what's coming when we play the Hurricanes. So those are kind of things. Cedartown, obviously, they've had a tremendous run with Coach Abrams and what they did a couple of years ago during the state championship. So you know that. You know what you're going to get out of that game. It's going to be a physical, brutal battle. And just, we're excited about the opportunity and the challenge that it possesses. And, Hiram, crazy athletic. Yeah. So it's exciting for us. I like having where each game means something. And I think it's extremely important for our kids to be focused and locked in at practice, because if not, anybody in this region can slip up on you. Coach Scott's going to do a great job at Woodland. There's no easy ones by any means at all. So we're excited for the opportunity to challenge.
Yep, it'll be big boy football this season. Well, Coach Smith, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of this off season, and can't wait for it.
Appreciate it, man. You don't even remember me, do you? I was a GA at Georgia back a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
It's been a long time, man. Yeah, I was in the weight room with Coach when you were at Georgia, so it's been a minute. Appreciate what you do, though, on this thing.
Heck yes.
Anytime.
Go Bucks. All right.
That's
So
it.
there goes Coach Smith. All right, so the keys for Altoona before we close this off. I think it will be, as he's mentioning, Xavier Rucker and Ethan Corpus. This two-headed attack. If they can get them both in the backfield, set up screen plays, and then allow the big arm of Cruz Paul, the offense can definitely have a lot more success this year. They're still running that, looks like he said, a pistol zone spread. They're switching the defense from a 4-2-5 to a 3-4, and I think that will help them. And it's going to be a lot of different types of offenses they're facing. When you face Cedartown, they're going to try to pound the football right at you. Obviously, Cartersville takes a different approach. They're always loaded at quarterback. And then with Cass, we'll see what their offense is going to look like, because Coach Gates has said they're going to make some pretty big differences now that Brody's been able to establish himself as a trusted all-state level quarterback. But that's it for today. We have, I think, soccer brackets updated from last night. We've got the gymnastics. I think that's going on today. That will be the qualifiers for Friday. We've got a preview up at scoreatl.com. We got the lacrosse rankings out. The final pre-playoff soccer polls are out, and then I'll have baseball tomorrow. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll be back tomorrow with Keeping It Real with Najee Wilkins. Take care.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.